Welcome back to our Where Winds Meet Law series. If you have explored the side quests in Qinghe, you have probably noticed that Tian Ying is a key figure in a lot of them. What does he really want, and how did he become an assassin? Beam of light. After the Khitans took Yangyun, Tian Ying became a homeless refugee. A kind blacksmith in Qinghe adopted him. Back then, his wishes were simple: fill his stomach and have a roof over him. But peace never lasted in Wudai Shiguo. The Khitans wanted more and more land and invaded Qinghe. Tian Ying was tricked and kidnapped by bandits. Just as he tried to flee, a daxia appeared, his sword gleaming like a rainbow as he struck down every bandit. That moment shaped Tian Ying's idea of xia, and the man became the beacon in his heart. Later, when Tian Ying rescued Li Zhenzhen from marrying a sick groom poisoned by dream puppet venom, he became a beam of light for her as well. Suppressing self-interest. Tian Ying later took refuge at the Palace of Annals. It looked like a luxurious resort, but was actually the secret base of the Hanging Blade. There he learned about Chairong, the emperor of later Zhou, who built the Palace of Annals and the Peace Bell Tower for the refugees from the Yangyun region. Even though ancient Chinese regimes are often seen as despotic, good emperors usually invited ministers and experts to inspect and scrutinize their decisions. This is why Chairong founded the Hanging Blade. In the basement of the palace, we find Lucky 17 beside a statue of the Hanging Blade. Huge blades hung above a long, which represents Chairong because Rong and Long sound similar. Chairong swore that if he ever betrayed his vow, may those blades fall and take the Long's head. Keeping promises no matter what. While exploring the Palace of Annals, you may have noticed that the second floor cannot be reached by stairs. It's hidden by design. On the table lies a dusty thumb ring, a key law that many may have missed. It references a story called Well-Kept Promise. A nobleman, Jizha, once travelled as an envoy. Along the way, he met the Lord of Xu. The Lord admired the sword that Jizha was carrying. Back then, swords were an important symbol for social status. Jizha wanted to gift it to the Lord, but he couldn't do so before his formal duties. After he finished them, he went back to offer his sword, only to learn that the Lord of Xu had died. Jizha still hung the sword on a tree beside the Lord's grave. When questioned, he said that from the moment he promised in his heart, the sword already belonged to the Lord, and death did not change that. This is a famous story from the spring and autumn period in Chinese history. The thumb ring at the palace was also a gift, prepared by Wei Daoji for Chairong. But Chairong died before receiving it. Just like Jizi, Wei left the ring there because his promise remained. Later, we see Tian Ying follow this example when he fulfills his promise to Li Zhenzhen by giving her the pair of eyes he once promised her, even after her death. 3 pages Tian. Tian Ying was surprised to learn that the daxia who saved him was one of the 16 members of the Hanging Blade, a group that perfectly embodied his idea of xia yi. He readily joined them and began his wuxia journey. He was extremely talented in martial arts, but he hated reading. That's why people call him 3 pages Tian. He could not get through more than 3 pages of any book. Seek no fame. Tian Ying did not care whether people knew who he was. He was willing to become anyone if needed. At the time, many people sought comfort in Buddhism because of endless wars and social chaos. But as the Buddhist temples drained up more and more resources, they became a burden. They owned massive land, but paid no taxes. Many able-bodied men became monks just to avoid labor and live off offerings while commoners starved. Chairong even tested them and found that the majority of these so-called monks could not answer basic questions about Buddhism. The temples also used large amounts of bronze to make Buddha statues, even though bronze was needed for minting currency. You might expect an emperor to simply pass a law to stop this, but Chairong wanted the people to accept the changes willingly. So he worked with Tian Ying, who created his first fake identity, Meow Shan. Tian Ying used jade to cast a radiant halo on a tall tower, creating a miracle that boosted his authority as a monk. After performing a 7-day ritual, a copper coin appeared from the Buddha's hand. Then, people started melting the statues to mint coins, and trade flourished. For me, it is amazing to see that good emperors didn't just abuse their power, They came up with creative ways to serve and reassure the people. Second identity, breeze post assassin. As mentioned in my previous video, later Zhou was sandwiched between the Khitans and southern Tang. When Chairong fought the Khitans, most later Zhou forces were on the northern front, leaving the heartland defenseless. The Khitans sent an envoy to ally with southern Tang so they could crush later Zhou from both sides. Martial heroes across Jianghu ambushed to kill the envoy. But Tianying had a better idea. Do not kill the envoy in later Zhou land. Kill him in southern Tang. That would turn his death into a diplomatic incident, make the Khitans distrust southern Tang, and tear the alliance apart. For this secret plan, Tianying had to abandon the identity of Meow Shan. He hid the two halves of the Buddha-like jade at Bodhi Sea and with Lucky 17. He then sought help only from the best, the lunar goddess. He asked her to escort the envoy across later Zhou safely, reach southern Tang alive, and then he would kill the envoy there. The lunar goddess was one of many people Tianying had helped out of chivalry. He did not realize she was actually Li Zhenzhen, the blind bride he saved over 10 years ago. But she recognized his voice instantly and agreed to help. That meant she had to kill the attacking Jianghu heroes to protect the envoy. After she finished her mission, those heroes felt betrayed and murdered her at her home. Unaware of this, Tian Ying borrowed the fastest horse in the land, the Night Dew Flying Light, and gifted it to the envoy. A quest shows that he brought 2 horses back to the ranch afterward, because he always kept his promises. When the envoy finally reached southern Tang on that very horse, Tianying struck. He killed the envoy and successfully planted suspicion between southern Tang and the Khitans. The breeze post incident is based on a real historical event. Southern Tang then shut its borders and unleashed the Orient Pavilion to hunt down the assassin. So Jiang Yan went there to help rescue Tian Ying. 3 years later, Tian Ying finally escaped and returned to Qinghe, only to find that Li Zhenzhen had been dead the whole time. Remember that legacy from the spring and autumn period? Just like Jizi, Tian Ying kept his promise. He asked unfated Tian to help replace Zhenzhen's eyes. In that sense, he carried on the spirit of the hanging blade. Third identity, Li Zhongdui. By this time, Yu, the young master, had collected the 2 halves of the Buddha light jade and triggered the Halo Peak mechanism, alerting Tian Ying. Since he worked with Jiang Yan for 3 years in southern Tang, he likely knew about you. After fighting you, he recognized your martial arts and realized you were the child raised by Jiang Yan. He then used the fight to fake his death and mislead the Orient Pavilion. Time for a new identity. To honor Li Zhenzhen, he took her surname and became Li Zhongdui. Then he left Qinghe once more and headed north into Khitan territory for long-term infiltration. Loyalty for heaven and earth. In the Chinese server, the Palace of Annals is called the Spring and Autumn Palace. Apart from referencing the historical period, Spring and Autumn also means long years ahead. Chairong named the place to mean that his loyalty lies in serving the common good and let history be the judge. Tianying followed the same path. When he returned to Qinghe, Chairong was already dead and later Zhou had become Song. But Tianying's loyalty was never to a ruler or a dynasty. It was to the people, to heaven and earth. No matter who sat on the throne, a true Xia would always act for the people. The price of Xia. To carry out the breeze post assassination, the hanging blade needed the face-changing technique of Aunt Han. Her lover, Chu Qingquan, was also a member and needed to undergo the surgery. Knowing the fate of the faceless man on the Stillwater shore, Aunt Han could not bear to let him do it. Tianying even tried to drug her at a banquet, so Chu Qingquan could steal her books. Naturally, they had a huge fight. I mean literally, because we can still observe their fight scene at the Peace Bell Tower. Was Aunt Han selfish? Perhaps. But she was still a daxia, because she helped countless people change faces to infiltrate the Khitans. Was Tianying cruel to her and Chu Qingquan? What would you have done in his place? And what does Xia mean to you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you. Till next time.